Brylan Hollihan joins me now. Brylan, thanks for being here. You have a new op-ed out. I'm just going to read the title of it. I'm from Gen Z. We are the ones who have to stop socialism from taking over. Well, frankly, at least in New York and a couple of other blue cities, it doesn't look like you got a lot of company on that right now.
Well, David, you see, socialism is the gateway drug to communism, and that's really the threat we're facing today, regardless if he wants to address that or not. You know, for my parents' and grandparents' generation, socialism seemed like this far-off threat overseas, but unfortunately, for my peers today, we're seeing it right here in the homeland. And it's knocking on City Hall's front door. We have to wake up to that. How did we get to where we are today? Well, what I think happened, David, is actually we had activists and teachers' clothing seep into the education system and indoctrinate my peers and I for feeling guilt for American capitalism. And to my peers watching your show this morning, I just want to simply say communism and socialism are not TikTok trends. This is not some experiment that you can test out in a lab just to see if it works. I mean, people build rafts out of garbage to flee socialist nations and come to America. Find me one person that fled Cuba, that fled Venezuela, that came to America for a new life of freedom and are voting for this idiotic, stupid policies in New York City Hall and don't think it's going to end in New York City. If we open the door to this, like I said, this is a gateway drug and we will never be able to get rid of the communism and socialist threat here in the country.
Now, you were Donald Trump's 2024 campaign youth director. I'm just wondering, how did you try to get the message out? Because I believe among young people, young voters, 18 to 30 or whatever it was, there was an increase in the support that Trump received now from what he did in 2016 and 2020. So how do you build up that knowledge when people have been trained and taught by teachers that don't believe there's a problem with socialism?
Yes, sir. I actually had a really easy job. I had a candidate that I worked for, President Trump, that actually talks to Gen Z, as opposed to Kamala Harris, who screamed at my peers, who called my generation Hitler Juniors, who called us garbage, who told my generation that we're a threat and a villain here in our own country because our masculinity is a threat to this nation. And unfortunately, that's what we've seen. But what we're seeing now in 2025 is a great resurgence of the White House joining TikTok. We're seeing a resurgence of the Republican Party being this new age, not just the grand old party anymore, but a new party where we're embracing the next generation. I was just with President Trump a few weeks ago, backstage before he gave the commencement speech at the University of Alabama. I had a few moments to pull aside and talk to him. And I leaned in and I said, Mr. President, you have the secret weapon to win Gen Z, not only in 26, but in 28. And he said, Brylan, what's that? I said, you're doing this crazy novel concept in politics called actually doing what you told the voters you would do. And we're able to now share that through the White House's TikTok account. We're able to now share that and say, hey, Gen Z voters, you got off the sidelines. You voted for President Trump last November. He has been promises made, promises kept every single day. And my message to the White House watching Fox Business this morning is simple. Don't stop at TikTok. Host a modern day fireside chat with the president. Have him start a monthly podcast. Have him sit down for 30 minutes in a modern form that Gen Z watches and say, hey guys, this is what I accomplished this month. Have him actually go to college campuses. Have him do a speaking tour. Have him speak directly to my peers on campuses. That is how the Republican Party comes into a new age to get ready to win the midterms and keep the White House in 2028.
Well, he's listened to you before, Brylan. Maybe he's listening right now. So I hope your message got through. Brylan, thank you very much for being here.